Good afternoon. I'm Kelly Hardy from the Kernersville Museum. Thank you guys so much for coming. This is our Storytellers Series, Part 2, Courting in Kernersville. So we got some of our favorite couples, and they're going to tell us about courting in Kernersville. We're going to start off with a little section of like the honeymoon, newlywed game. So we'll see how much they really know each other. How well do they really know each other? And we're going to try not to get too racy, because that's not what we want. Right, Pastor?
That's right. If they do, just plug your kids' ears.
If you look around, we got some old Valentine's ads. They're so cute. They're from like 1959. They're from the People's News. It was Pete Nash's newspaper that he put in town. So we pulled up some of those, and the one on the tables from Pinnix drugstore. I don't know why we picked Pinnix, but we just did. We like to do that. But trash cans are in the back. Bathroom's over here if anybody needs it. And I'm going to let Rick tell y'all a very cute Valentine story. Then we're going to get started.
All right, so when you go back and you're at the table, there's a couple of Valentines on the table. And for those who knew my dad, I'm Rick Pierce, by the way. My mom was Martha Pierce Blue, and my dad was Jack. And you know, we always struggle over finding that perfect Valentine every year, and trying not to repeat, one maybe we did a few years back or whatever. So my dad just said, okay, I've had it with this. He said, I spend this money every year, we don't remember it, so I tell you what, we're saving these, and we will just exchange them every year. So I think they did it, what, for 20 years?
I like that.
So when we moved things out of their house, there was a little table that was in the living room. We opened the desk drawer, and there were the Valentines. So we'll keep those forever, so y'all get to see. Of course you can.
Our MC is Pastor Pete, First Christian.
Yep.
First Christian Church. We're so glad he's here. And we're going to get started. Our folks are going to write their answers down on their little cards, and then we'll go through, and then they'll erase them. And we'll see how well they know each other today. Okay, let's get started.
Okay, now you go back to back.
Yeah, you have to sit back to
Look
back.
at each other.
Don't look at each other.
Our first couple is Joe and Kay Pinnix. And tell me a little bit about how many years you've been married.
Joe,
This is, you don't have to write this down. 54 years. And has that been good, 54 years? That was the correct answer. The next couple is Danny and Charlene Caudill. And you all have been married how many years?
51.
51. And y'all are great setters. Gee, I wish some of these young couples would. And our last couple is Jason and his wife, Jane. And how many years have y'all been married?
We celebrated our 20th anniversary last June.
Well, they said you were the youngest couple. 20 years is a long time to be married.
It is a long time.
Y'all look
But not compared to these guys. I don't feel like we're just getting started.
Do I need this mic?
Everybody okay?
I'm going to leave it to them, and then if you get where you need to answer it, we answer it. Okay, here we go. Now, I did not write these questions. Kelly wrote these questions. So if there's any blame to go around, it goes to Kelly.
I thought you were married for 21 years. It'll be 21 this year.
Oh, he's right.
I know, he's paying attention, I'm impressed.
All right, here we go. On your pads at this time, would you please write, tell me what your spouse is wearing right now.
Oh.
Can't turn around and look. Now this would not be a problem for me because my wife does that all the time. So that makes it simple.
You got this.
All right, Joe Kay, we're going to start with you. Yep. Pink shirt, dark blue. Mine is that blue. And
today.
We got your pants too.
All right, Joe.
I didn't get specific, I just said sweater and slacks.
Sweater and slacks.
Oh, Joe.
It's not a sweater. I'll give you a hint. It's like a jacket.
I'm gonna wear pajamas next time.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, Charlene. Can you read it to me? I can't
Yes,
see it.
red and black shirt, blue jeans, beige shoes, and a black vest.
100%.
Hey, wait a minute, when you pick out his clothes for him, who knows?
All right, Danny.
Black outfit.
Except for that bright red shirt.
You think you're all
She dressed me, I didn't dress her.
All right, Jane.
All right. He has a plaid shirt, his sleeves are rolled up, khaki pants, and he doesn't have a hat on. That means he's fancy.
Very good, you got it. Jason?
All right, so I got jeans, a white shirt, pink sweater, and leopard print shoes.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get any of the rest of these right, so I had to try to get bonus points.
Okay, Kelly, are you keeping score?
I'm keeping score. I'm
Okay.
keeping score. They get points when both of them match, so,
Mine goes after
yeah.
22 years.
He won't remember starting next year. Starting next year, he's done.
All right.
That's right.
Here's our second question. Where did you and your spouse meet? All right, we're going to start with you, Charlene. I'll tell you, Danny was done with this in about a minute. So,
Well,
I hope y'all had it the same
He's probably
place.
not.
All right, Charlene.
Okay, we met at the Reynolds Old Auditorium, East Forsyth, and Reynolds were playing basketball. And back in those days, the Y would let us meet up at Harmon Park, and they would take us on a bus for us that couldn't drive and never remember. And so my mother would let me off there. Of course, they were sitting there waiting for us to come back. And I met him in the gym at the ball game. Let's see if he's got that again.
Reynolds High School.
All right. Jane?
All right. I put East Forsyth High School. Do I need to be more specific than that?
No.
Do I?
I mean, I was more specific.
Get specific.
We first talked to each other, I think it was probably in the courtyard. I was at Eaglet practice, and he asked a senior who the short girl on the end was.
All right. Jason?
In the courtyard.
This is not what it sounds like.
Oh, good.
It's all things car. I'm going to the Kernersville Lake.
Okay.
That's where I live.
Joe?
And I've got, I grew up on Salisbury Street. And this Bloody Rain was what I called everybody's grandmother. She took all the neighborhood kids, everything. And one day she said, we're going to Ballard's Lake. I'm going to take you kids to the little swimming pool, Ballard's Lake. And we're going to pick up a girl visiting in town. And
Sorry.
her name is Kay. And Kay was visiting her grandmother, Miss Bellamy, who Kay's mother grew up in the museum. That was their home. all the kids in the old Buick, so it ain't got to sit in my lap.
First date.
And it was something.
There it is. Great answer, both of you got it. All right, all three of you. Great job. Now, here comes a little harder one, so listen closely to this. Now, there are a lot of celebrities in the world. You know, beautiful women, beautiful men. I saw in the Olympics last night a young lady who was 28 years old, and she was a ski champion. But that wasn't her life. She was actually a model in her life. And they showed a lot of pictures. She's from Italy. Just absolutely beautiful. So, who would you say your spouse says they have a crush on that celebrity? I would have to think about this 2 minutes. Is there a celebrity that he is wow about, or you are wow about? You would have a crush on?
That he,
Well, both of you.
you're writing down.
Yeah, you're writing down what he says, and he's writing down what you would think, who you would have a crush on. What celebrity do you have a crush on? All right, everybody, have an idea? All right, we'll start with Jay. Yeah.
All right, so I have to tell you, he's gonna have a crush on you?
Yes.
I don't know her name, her whole name. Her name is Andy,
McDowell.
and she's the tall brunette girl from Law and Order from a long time ago.
That's Angie Harmon, that would be the other.
So does that count?
You got 2 right.
Yeah. Two real price of one.
Yep. All right, Jason.
So I'm not sure about this, but I said Harry Connick Jr. I don't know whether that's right or not.
Sure, yeah, that's
Is that it?
That's it.
All right. All right, we're going in reverse. Danny?
About, she's got
Yeah.
been murdered.
When he was young. Not with the two ladies. I don't. She's not really, this girl, I would say, you would say, she was a country music singer. But I can't think of her name. She's blonde and Barbara Mandrell. I got it, yeah. I knew she was country music.
All right, Kay.
Andy McDowell.
He's got good taste.
If that's not right, it is wrong.
Is that who it is?
Is that
That's who
it?
your crush is on? Yeah, he's smiling big.
See, I remember.
Always good.
All right, what about your
Use
wife?
the microphone, Joe, so we can hear you.
No, they could be gone.
Well, I'm going back a long time, but Kay always had a crush on all people.
All new. Is that correct? Kay, who was your crush on?
Who is it with the scar on his chin?
Harrison.
Oh, Joe.
Yeah, let me tell you a story about Harrison Ford. We had taken my daughter to Disney World, and he and his stuntman were there at Disney World that day, and they wanted Heidi to come down and sit with them and ride in that car that they had, and she absolutely refused. And Kathy volunteered to take her place. They were looking for a little person, not a little adult. So she missed her opportunity. All right. Describe what you first thought of your spouse in one word. Give one word what you first thought of your spouse. If you could hear what I'm hearing, this is great.
Is this where we take the kids out?
No, we're not. There's some coming. Okay. Let's see, we're gonna start.
Handsome.
Handsome.
Yes, and he was a little,
The
you know,
very
he was a
first.
wrestler for about a year or so. And when I seen him, he was really strutting. You know, he
Oh, that brought me down.
But yeah.
Okay. Danny?
That thing short.
Sharp. Okay. All right, Kay. Little skinny but cute. All right. Yes. One word.
Here comes the train.
All right.
Wait a second.
All right.
Okay, so this word has two meanings. I said hot. I thought he was very cute. But he would also wash his car in the driveway of his parents' house. And I had to drive past his parents' house to go anywhere. So I would see him, and I thought, oh, he must be hot, since, wash his car outside. But both ways.
I said eyes, because you would only let me use one word. I would have said beautiful eyes if I could have.
That's good.
So that was what I noticed about her first.
That's sweet. All right, you kept it very clean for the kids. That's good. All right. Where did you go on your first official date?
Fish.
Yeah.
Fish.
Yeah, it was an official date. Because you already have told me a few things about where you met. So when was it for real you went out on a real date? And where'd you go? Don't help each other. All right, Joe, you're up.
Well, I said movies.
Movies, okay?
I said bowling.
That must have been somebody else you dated, Joe.
He's right, he's probably right, we did both. Movies, all the time, movies and bowling.
Same night.
Probably.
All right, Charlene.
The first official date, I would say movie.
What are you saying there? Danny?
She was too young for her mom and daddy to let us go William Basket with the race king.
What did he say?
Say again, Danny, they did not hear you.
I said she was too young for us to go on an actual date. Mom and daddy wouldn't let her go. So we went to race king with her.
Well, he's right.
Right.
He is right there first, but then.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, we're counting on Jane and Jason here.
All right, so our first official date, and my parents are here, so they can fact check this. We dated at my parents' house. I don't really call that a date. That's just hanging out at your parents' house because you're too young to go anywhere.
That's right. Nice.
But then the first date we went on was at Ronnie's, which is not there anymore.
Ronnie's
Is that what you got, Jason? King, what you got?
We started dating when Jane was a freshman and I was a junior, and so her mom and dad, I don't think were real crazy about the idea of her like going somewhere with me. So, as she said, we had to like hang out at their house, and eventually, on our first date, I couldn't pick her up. They dropped her off at Ronnie's, but I got to take her home, which in retrospect, if I'd had daughter, like, luckily I have sons, they would do it the other way around. I can pick her up, but you gotta, Which is where the busy, or where the B, whatever the storage place is next to the Don Juans is now.
All right. You are doing really well. All right. You're going to answer this question. What is your spouse's favorite movie? What is your spouse's favorite movie? It's hard. All right, is everybody ready? Okay, we're going to start with Jason. Started up here last. Drew a line.
So anything I say is right.
Well, you're talking about her favorite movie.
Oh, I'm saying what her favorite.
Yeah, what's your spouse's
She was
favorite?
supposed to do yours.
Oh, okay. Well, so I put that her favorite movie was Aladdin. It's the Disney movie. That was her favorite movie when we started dating. I don't know if it's still her favorite.
All right, Charlene.
You got
What is your name? His is Lonesome Dove. Yes. Am I right?
Okay, what's her favorite movie?
Coal miner's daughter.
Not really. Not the Wind was my favorite.
Oh.
Always.
All right, we got half right.
You got half right.
You got 2 half rights. Okay, okay.
I got it.
Field of Dreams. What's her favorite movie?
The Ten Commandments.
Wow.
What was
What
it?
was it?
10 Commandments.
That's an old kitty.
Was it?
Pastor, I think she's brown nosing.
Good job, Rick.
Okay, number 7. Which one of you would win in a game of Trivial Pursuit? Both of you are playing. Which one of you would win Trivial Pursuit? Okay, start in the middle. Charlie?
Dan.
All right. Okay. She's got the same thing. All right, here we go. Jane?
Jason.
Yeah, my buddy Jeff Jordan says I'm a repository of useless knowledge.
There you go. That's pretty good.
Actually, that's a big word for Jeff.
This should be really easy. Okay, everybody ought to get this. Which is your spouse's favorite snack?
Okay.
Snack. Potato chips, popcorn, candy. Favorite snack? Apples, peaches. Ready? Kay, you're up.
Cheese straws.
Cheese straws. Okay?
Where's this peanut M&Ms?
You got M&Ms. I thought that might be a little easier. Okay, Charlene?
His is peanut butter. Peanut butter crackers, whatever, peanut butter. You're right.
What did you say?
Mayonnaise. I put mayonnaise.
That's hilarious. That is the best answer I've ever heard. Ever. Number 1. Oh my gosh.
Can't you just picture a bowl of mayonnaise?
No, I can't.
Peanut butter mayonnaise?
Tiny little like mayonnaise. She did that. It's so nasty.
do. Oh, that's
You knew each other, that's your snack.
Whatever she can dip in mayonnaise.
Yeah.
All right, Jane.
I said, his is peanut butter and mine is grapes.
Well, mine is peanut butter. I said hers was ice cream.
Okay.
I was trying to get that.
All right. All right. Listen closely here, okay? Who or what is your spouse's favorite band or musical artist? You pick somebody. Is it a single artist or is it a band? Going to Charlene this time.
He always liked Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty. Am I right?
Okay. Danny, what's her favorite artist or band?
Yep.
Patsy Cline.
Did they get the
Electric light orchestra.
Electric Light Orchestra.
I said George Strait.
Well,
George
no,
Strait.
it's ELO yours.
Yours.
Electric light orchestra.
Well, that'd be my favorite band.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's hers? George Strait. A lot of country music fans right here. All right. Jane.
This is hard. I think his is Riley Green. And what'd you say, Mel?
I went with what her favorite artist right now is, Mrs. Walker Hayes.
That's right.
Good, there you go.
Hey.
All right, here's the fun. If money were no object, where would you live together? If money were no object, do not look at each other on this. Where would you live together?
Do it together?
Yeah. Where would you live? You've been married. That's an easy one. All right, that's a good thing because we're starting with you.
I've got Kernersville.
Okay.
I said Austria.
I said here. I love her.
Danny?
I said at home.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Jane.
I said in our house.
With their address.
That is cool. Now, you know, everybody's got their different ideas. I've lived all over the world, so I get that. But let's stay here in Kernersville. I don't even know. Okay, we're going to award points for that right now.
Okay. Let's see where we're
We got
at.
some other questions, but they're going to be a little different.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell y'all what Jason and Jane won. They had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total, because they got half a point.
See, there you go.
We don't have as much to remember as that.
Joe and Kay are 4, 5, 6, and Danny and Charlene are 3, 4, 4.5. Let's see. Let's let Jane, since they won, we'll let Jane pick a number. I think we didn't give out enough of the raffle tickets. So we're just gonna let Jane pick a number between 1 and 15, and I have numbers all in my head. So we started with William and ended over here with Bruce. So pick a number 1 through 15.
My softball number was 8.
Girls, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bertha. I got a Valentine. Let her propose with the couples that won. How about that? Up there?
I'm with Jane.
Jason and Jane, go up there with
Jason and Jay.
Posing.
Okay, y'all can turn your chairs around now. Joe,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to have your boards anymore.
Yep.
We just want
You're
answers
just gonna
now.
answer them.
Now you just have to answer.
Yeah, we're not.
They know each other pretty well.
Yeah, you all really do. You did a great job.
It's okay, we can get it later.
No, you're all right, man. Okay, this is the part where we get a little more intimate. So we want you to face the crowd when we talk about these things. It already is. I didn't say anything yet. All right. Yeah, we were there a little closer. There's that.
And y'all can pick up the microphones if it gets loud.
Did you start dating? And how old were you when you started? So what year did you start dating? And how old were you when you started to date?
Start dating her.
Yeah, pretty much we're gonna stay in those perimeters.
We're supposed to be together.
All right.
1961, I was 14.
14.
He was,
Well,
he was 15.
15.
1964, I was 14.
Oh, here we go. Argument.
Well, I guess so. I was 14 years old. And he was 17. Is that the question?
Yeah.
1967, I was 17.
There you go.
We were the same ages. I was 14, he was 17.
Aw.
That's
It was
all
a
right.
year. 1992. Four.
Okay, there's two other parts to this question. Did either of you have a car where you were allowed to go in that car for dates? Did you double date with other couples? Start it, Jane.
He had a blue Bronco that we went everywhere in. I did not have a driver's license. I didn't have a car. And we did double date with his friend Chris Lakey and his girlfriend. So, and Chris still lives in there.
But he's not married.
No, he's married.
He had I didn't have, and he had a 62 Ford white. And I know one thing I got to tell because I think it's funny. The front seat didn't work, so we had a screwdriver in the front seat. And if we had a double date, but then I didn't even get to double date. It was just with mom, we were at mom and dad's house, or his mother's home, that kind of thing. But, yeah, so I would laugh because if I got to ride from my house to his house, you better watch if he stopped, the seat might go up and then fly away.
You always have to be doing that.
All right.
You didn't drive when we first,
yeah, when we,
in a year.
I wasn't old enough to drive, so when she visited here, when her mother would bring up here to visit her grandmother at the museum, we would date at our drugstore. I would be working at the drugstore. she would live half a block away. And she'd walk up there, and I'd fix her nuts Sunday. And,
No, my mother would not let me go to the drugstore by myself to see this boy.
I think we all understand it.
Especially when you met him and you said his lap.
That was, she didn't know that, she didn't know that. But, so what I would do, the Vances lived next door to my grandma. Fred Vance and Isla, and Jenny and Sally were the two daughters. So I would corral Jenny to go with me to the drugstore. Because mother said, you know, I couldn't go by myself, so I got Jenny to go with me, so she couldn't say no. So poor little Jenny would walk up there with me, she'd just stand under somewhere. She didn't eat peanuts or something.
Very good. All right. Was there a place in Kernersville that you frequented and visited a lot as a couple?
The cops are coming to get you guys for that. Where did they go on their dates?
I mean, back when we started dating, Kernersville had about 3,000 people. And basically the center of town was our drugstore. So that's where that was our only place to go, except when I got off work, we'd go sit on that front porch.
Plus you got free ice cream.
Got free ice cream.
Works for me. All right, Charlene Caudill.
Well, when we did get to go to places, a race team or race was where we go. But if we were coming downtown, which we did a lot, would be, I think it's called Spiro's back then. The hot dogs. Oh, man, they were so good. And then we went to Snow's Charlie's a lot too. That's really all that we got to do. We could go to Winston.
It's funny because, I mean, this was 30 years later and there still didn't seem like there was a lot in Kernersville, you know, to do. So for us, like the movie theater that's now closed was brand new. It is not the Justice Theaters. We're at Main Street, so I mean we would go there. It was before it was like the $2 meal. We actually paid $5 to go. Like the It restaurant was probably Sagebrush because it was new.
That was fancy.
And that was like
That was
Really?
good for us.
Very good. All right. Now, how long did you date before you got married?
Well, we dated 6 years.
6 years.
Because I was 21 when we got married and she was 20. So we stood it as long as we could.
Now you get to go to different places too. All right, Charlene.
4 years.
4 years you dated.
Yeah, right.
Just agreed.
Start praying.
All right, James.
So it was 8 years between when we started dating and when we got married. But there was what we affectionately refer to in our family as the hiatus. So we dated from the middle of my junior year of high school to the end of my freshman year of college. And then we broke up and started dating again end of my summer of my junior year of college. And then got engaged a few years after that. The way that went down was I came home, came back.
You were going to tell us.
So I came back I went to Virginia Tech to undergrad, came back from Blacksburg at the end of my freshman year, and I'd been home a week or two, and Jane told me that when I went back to school in the fall, she wanted to date other people.
This was before email, when we had to pay long distance bills. And they wouldn't let me go visit my college boyfriend by myself. So, and when he came home, he wanted to go see his grandmother. And he'd be all sweet with his family.
But the best part of it was, she was like, this is maybe the end of May. You go back to school at the end of August or whatever. You go back to school in the fall, I want to date other people. I said, what do you mean when I go back to school in the fall? She goes, well, I want us to date all summer. Then when you go back to school in the fall, I want to date other people. And I said, well, what am I going to do? She's like, well, you're just going back to school. And I said, well, why don't you go in and start now? And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, why don't you start dating other people now? She said, no, I want you to take me out all summer, and then I want to date other people. That's how this works.
I'm going to tell you, I've been doing marriage counseling for 45 years, and that's the best story I've ever heard.
That was on my side.
It worked.
It worked.
The
It
good
wasn't
thing
good.
was, you took a hiatus, and you recognized that you really loved each other, and then you came back. And that is absolutely one of the best.
We both dated other people and realized it.
So, pretty much all that was true. So, but the way that we started dating again has a story too. Because this was, email had just started. So I was at Wake Forest, and so I had email, and we ran into each other like Christmas or something. And so we were like emailing, should we start dating now? Like, do you want to start dating again? And we're like, no, let's wait till we're back at home, so it's not long distance, whatever. And so he was supposed to call me when he got back from college. And so I did not call him because I was going to wait for him to call me because that's what he was supposed to do. So we waited from the time we got back from school in May until like July 1st. Finally, I can't remember who called who, but the conversation went something like this. Why haven't you called me? Because you were supposed to call me. Well, no, you were supposed to call me. Well, whatever. Do you want to go out? Fine.
So how's that working for you now?
So we went out to the Village Tavern, and we decided in the parking lot that if we were going to start dating again, that we weren't going to break up. So, no.
There you go. Thank you. That was great. Okay, this is really simple for you. Did you live in Kernersville when you first married? And if so, where did you live? Let's start down here.
When we got married, we both were in college. And we lived the first couple of years in Greensboro. 610 North Tremont Avenue, right off Flender Road. She was at UNCG and I was at Guilford.
Tell them how much our rent was.
Our rent was $65 a month. And we had 2 bedrooms, beautiful backyard. I think I called that over. But it was, I was making $2 an hour. We had all the money.
Yeah. Awesome. Charlene, David?
When we got married, my parents gave us 2 acres of land. And he wanted to be an electrician. And he had already, that's what I was going to say. He had already got his electrical license, because while he was in high school, he went for site tech too. And he worked for Kernersville Electric, which was Moyer. Yeah. And I wanted to be a cosmetologist, so I had already gone to that in the summer in Barbizon and Winston. So I knew what I wanted to be, and I got my license when I was 17. And he had had his license, so we decided not to rent, not to do any of that. That parents gave us 2 acres of land, and we bought a brand new trailer. A brand new trailer. We thought that was cool, the thing ever. And so we put it on that 2 acres. And we stayed there till Dana was 5, until we built our home, which is right across. The mobile home isn't there anymore or anything. And we had our goals. We kind of sat down with what we wanted to do, what we foresee to do, and talking about rent. When he came to Kernersville, we rented from Clarence Carr to start his electrical business. He had started out in a trailer in an old lawn. And then when we moved down to Kernersville, I decided to give up fixing hair and go to work with him. And it's a long story, I'm not going to give you a lot. But anyway, his rent down there was $75 a month. Down here, so.
All right, Jane, Jason.
So we got married the summer after my second year of law school. Jane had just graduated from Wake Forest and got a job teaching at an elementary school in Clemens. And we rented a townhouse from Lawrence Pope, kind of behind their run in Kerner Ridge Townhomes or whatever, 215A Raven Ridge Drive. And our rent was $615 a month.
And I didn't know how we were going to.
But I had a sugar mama that was a school
Yeah.
teacher for a year. It was great.
We ate hot dogs like every night. Every night. And then, something happened. One time I fixed this really terrible meal, and this doesn't have anything to do with what you're talking about. But it was a chicken casserole, and it had like 5 ingredients, and I left one of them out, which was milk, and the noodles were not cooked. And so we sat down to eat it, and he was so sweet. He was chopping on those dry noodles. He ate 3 or 4 bites and was like, I think he forgot to put something in it. But I was so heartbroken because, we were living on love and didn't have any money to replace our
We sure weren't living on noodles, were you? I want to tell you a very short story about Kathy and I meeting. I met her at KCU, and I had to get in line to date her because she was very popular. She had hair all the way down, touched her ankles, and just a beautiful young lady. And people were stepping in front of me because I'm really shy.
Yeah.
I'm really an introvert in real life. So finally she came because we were friends, and she said, I've been dating this guy. He was one of my best friends. And she said, I just don't know how to tell him I don't want to date him anymore. I said, I'll tell him. Not a problem. So I did. And we started dating. And I really fell head over heels for her, but I'd already made a commitment to go to Alaska for 6 months to be a missionary intern there. So I told her, I said, hey, if we're going to get married at the end of summer, because I was also traveling with a singing group, and I didn't see her the entire summer. I was traveling all over the United States, singing lead for a quartet. And I said, if you want to marry, you'll have to go to Alaska, because I made that commitment. And she's never been out of the state of Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Never. They owned a big farm there outside of Richmond, and she just kind of lived out there with her parents, her brother on that farm, did farm stuff. So she made a decision that she was going to do it. She told her mother, and her mother hated me for about 8 years after that. Was not happy with me that I had taken her all the way to Alaska. And the guy that I was supposed to work with was actually crazy. I'll tell you, if our marriage survived Alaska, it could survive anything. But he told us he had a Bible college, he had a house for us and all this. And all we had was our wedding money, and we didn't have a car. He picks me up in this beat-up old van. He has milk crates to sit on. Takes me to a house that has no running water, that has no central heat. We don't have any way to cut wood, burn a fire. And they were sweet. He was really off the charts crazy. So in the midst of that, we'd only been married for 3 weeks, and there was another couple that was coming up. They weren't married. They were going to live in another place on this campus, which there was none. We had church that Sunday morning. I was the preacher and the superintendent of Sunday school, and then he and his wife were the audience, and my wife. And you can see how crazy it was getting. So we couldn't live where we were living, so I rented from a homesteader who was really a wonderful man. Cussed every other word, but he was a wonderful guy. His wife was a believer, and his daughter was a believer, and they were tremendous people. And they rented us a house for $550 a month in Alaska in 1976. Loaf of bread was almost $2 down the middle. about $3 because everything was shipped in. So, but we made it, and we made fabulous friends. We met a lot of people that helped us on the journey. I went to work with another church, and his name is Carl's Aaron. His son was killed 3 weeks after I started working with him in an automobile accident that hit head on. And Carl was disabilitated because of this. He just couldn't go on and preach for a while, so I took his position even though I knew nothing about it. And we came back, and we were changed because of that experience. We learned that there was nobody to run to. There's 6,000 miles away from home. So we had to depend upon each other. And I made ends meet. I worked at a gas station. I played Santa Claus. You got to play Santa Claus in Alaska. It's a real deal. And these people cared for us and paid us well. We were able to survive even in that economy. So keep your head to it. We've been married almost 45 years. So, you know, I just told you a morsel of that story because it was really crazy, but it was a good life. It sounds like living in Kernersville. I wish we'd started out here. We didn't do that. So, my next question is, yes, absolutely. Now this is going to be kind of personal. Okay. Did you have plans to have kids? And did the kids come according to your plans? All right, we're going to start with the young couple on the end.
Oh, wow.
They have 2 children.
We do, they're both here. So.
You want to introduce them?
So that's Harrison, the oldest, and Hampton, the youngest. They're 13 and 8, and they're in 7th and 3rd grade.
Okay, you might want to plug your ears now.
And they were part of the plan.
Yeah.
So from very early on, I think we definitely wanted kids. I think there was a point at which Jane wanted a whole lot more than we ended up with. But pretty quickly after we had 2, she was like, that's good.
As far as us, we wanted children, not as quick as we had a child, but God has a plan, because if we not had her, we would have never done it. Because I wanted 3 children. He just wanted a girl and a boy.
If I had one, I'd rather like the board and the board.
And then, this is cute, because
Dana, we're not saying anything against it.
No, this is cute. Dr. Whitaker, she was one of the last that he delivered. She wasn't the last one, but one of the last. And when Dana was born, back then, the husband couldn't go back there with you or anything, you know. It was just you. And I was like, I was scared of them. And so after Dana was born, he comes out to Danny, and because he had known him all his life. And you tell how he did.
Well, you know, I kind of told him I was old. So Dana was born, he come out and he said, you got a boy? And then he said, no, it's a girl, and it's a boy. I can't go back with the mother, if it was there or whatever. And I missed that visitation type thing. I didn't know. I missed that one. This lady named Doc Matthews, she worked back there, and she took me the back way to see that. And that's when I realized it was a girl.
And I will tell you, that is, him and her are so close. If he had a boy, it would have never been like Dana. No.
There's something about girls and their daddies.
Yes, I mean, really. Yes.
And boys and their mamas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
If boys and their daddies and girls and their moms.
Girls and moms don't usually, sometimes that doesn't work out.
Mix as well, yes.
We
All right. Kay and Joe.
Joey came really quick. We've been dating for what, 8 years or something? We planned on 2.
Well, I wanted 5. Really did, I wanted am I glad we didn't have that.
That's one thing I was right about.
He didn't want to give away that much ice cream.
But Dr. Whitaker delivered, well, he delivered me, but he delivered all our kids, whole family. But back then, doctors and drugstores kind of had a trading relationship. So we never had a doctor. We never had any kind of from Dr. Whitaker or Dr. Walker. If we ever had to go to Dr. Walker, Dr. Whitaker wasn't in the house. He came to the hospital and delivered both our kids, and he wouldn't take a dime. And our hospital bill for Joey, the first one in 1970, I still got it, it was $147.
That's everything.
And she was in the hospital with her.
You know, they catch you.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to bathe or anything.
Dr. Whitaker was one of the Garland Hutchins furniture and bought him a lazy boy for his need and had it sent to his house for Joe. And then for Robert, I think we got him a shotgun or a rifle.
Thank you. All right. Did your kids have any of the same teachers you had growing up? Did your kids have any of the same teachers you had growing up? Okay. Danny?
Miss Peggy Cottle was my teacher, and when Dana got there, that was Dana's teacher, and she was like the head of cheerleaders. So Dana got to be a cheerleader, I think, across the room.
All right. Jane?
Well, I didn't move here until I was in 8th grade, so I missed a lot of those early teachers, but no, I don't think they had any of the.
Not so far, and I don't.
They haven't even had any of the same teachers as each other,
Okay.
so.
Which is next year.
Yeah.
I will next.
Yeah.
In the year after that.
But Peggy Cox was still at Easter Slave when I was.
Yeah, she and Danny, and I know the first prom I ever got to go to with him. She was so good to me. And I just love that lady. She did a lot for Kernersville, for East Forsyth. She was good.
Well, I didn't grow up in Kernersville, so I don't know no teachers that I knew.
Joe? Okay, what is your favorite thing about growing up in Kernersville? And what was and is your favorite thing for children growing up in Kernersville? Two questions. What is your favorite thing about Kernersville? And then what are your kids' favorite thing to do here in Kernersville? YMCA?
Live was good. All the baseball and soccer. And soccer was getting started pretty well. When our boys got that age. That's when it was good. So that was probably the best thing for me.
What was your favorite thing?
Well, I think sports. High school sports was one of the stars there at the league. Used to go see him. He worked at our drugstore. But we just had a lot of good coaches and a lot of good teachers. And in our neighborhood, all of our neighborhood kids on Salisbury Street played ball all over.
That's good. Those are good memories. Okay. you, Charlie.
My favorite thing about Kernersville was, you just felt like you was at home, no matter where you were. You went back door of any business, and you just knew
As far as growing up personally for me, we were offered the wife, Mr. Mathis, Ray Mathis, that's who it was. I remember when he come around from door to door talking to families, and he would, mother joined up so that we could go swimming in Walker Town, things like that, because we didn't have any of that until I was probably, yeah, Campaign Hastings, right. And I think Kernersville's always been great about representing churches, being involved in churches, whatever church you choose. My parents didn't do that until I was about 13 years old. But then we were put into a wonderful church. And then when Dana come along, we wanted to make sure that she got into the church and go about. And she went to Main Street Baptist, and they had a great youth leadership in the summer and stuff. And I don't know, we just had a great time with that and with the Kernersville Raven Program. It was really big about the time she was going, and she was a little cheerleader from all the way through, you know. So,
They could actually play football when Dana was a cheerleader.
right,
They just didn't know they could do that.
right. And then Dana and David actually met at Main Street Baptist Church. They knew each other in high school but never dated, but my mother, she would put everybody together, okay? And David came into that church that Sunday, and she goes to Dana. You see that? That's
No,
Mary
she
Jones.
called me. She called me. I was in
Yeah.
high school.
That's right.
She called me. Like we talked on Sundays, and she called me and said, "Do you know this guy?" And I said, "Well, kind of my sister. I kind of knew him, but he's older than me." And she said, "Well, he's really cute." She kept telling me that.
Well, he is a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
But
Good choice.
my mother had a large family, so a lot of the people that in Kernersville, I know that my woman Bennett, we had a company in Kernersville, Wayne May was at the bank, Alan Bennett's an attorney, we're all family. So it was a big group of us, and every Sunday, me and my cousins would get together, then our children. So we knew so many people and had so much love and fun. It wasn't about what kind of trouble we could get in. It was about, don't hit this cousin because his mama's gonna pop your butt. So we just had fun, yeah.
All right.
I think kind of to echo what's been said, I mean, in retrospect, it's sort of the connections between families and generations. And I mean, standing around before this started, I mean, I was talking to William Harrison about his son and I went to high school together. And I mean, several of the folks on this panel, I mean, Danny and I were talking about people that we knew that worked at Duke Power. My dad retired from Duke Power. Danny and my mom graduated from high school together, and Joe and my parents went to high school together. So those family connections, really, I think you don't have that very many places anymore. We're lucky to still have that to some extent in Kernersville. I mean, I remember waiting on Rick Pierce's dad at the hardware store when I worked at the hardware store. But also talking about getting in trouble. The one lesson you learn and what I love as a parent now is growing up here, and I hope my boys are listening to this, there's always somebody around that knows your mom and dad. And I think back, I mean, I didn't get in a lot of trouble as a kid, but the times I got in trouble, it was because somebody saw me doing something and it made its way back to my mom and dad. And so, you know,
I got you. My mother worked at Mustin Crutchfield grocery store.
Oh, she knew
Everything. Oh, everything. Yes.
I mean, Joe Coltrane, my retired law partner, came walking in my office one day several years ago. It was after Max, his dad, had passed away, and he was cleaning things out at Max's house. And he laid a piece of paper on my desk, and he said, "Your mom may want this." I said, "Well, what is it?" And I got looking at it. He goes, "Well, it was her pay record from when she worked at Coltrane Grocery as a cashier. I found it in my dad's stuff, and I thought she'd like to have it. So, I mean, that kind of connection that goes back, you just don't find very many places.
Great. All right, only 3 more questions. This one, some of you may not know because you may not have a memory of it. But do you have a memory of Justice Theater? And what can you share about it?
So I don't independently have one. It was long gone by the time I came along. But my dad was a volunteer firefighter in Kernersville back before we had paid fire staff. He remembered being inside it when it caught on fire and talking about what a. I mean, he says that was about the worst fire he was ever involved with. So that's my memory.
Annie?
We used to go to Justice Theater just about every Saturday night, and then Wednesdays, I would say like 12 or around that. I remember sugar bears, that was kind of candy I like to get. See the But then there was a place beside Justice Theater, the doctor's pool hall. You had to be 18 to get in there, but every kid in town was in there.
He did.
I need 2 cops.
A guy named Sheeney's doctor, his brother was the police chief. So he would come up in front of the doctor's pool hall and he would just take his envelope at a time, get through the door while all of the younger people would run out the back. Their moms all good.
Those kids before I went before, but I went with my parents, and we just didn't go.
Yeah,
Joe, you're the only one.
I went, like you said, every Saturday they did double feature. Cowboys. And Danny remembers that. We'd go about every Saturday we could, we'd go and pay a dime to get in. And Mr. Justice kept it very nice, and you could hear the movie, it'd keep the kids under control. But the place next door, he's talking about, the real name for it was Stockton's Lunch. That was the name on the sign.
I missed that long.
Nobody ever ate lunch. Stockton's Lunch. It was a whole room filled with breakfast crowd in here. But if you got out of hand, Sheeny and our brother, his brother was chief. So they kept it under control.
One thing about that guy named Sheeney, his name really was not Sheeney. Him and a friend of his had been on a tour out west, and he went to Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Yeah.
He come back, and everybody said, "Where you been?" He said, "I was in Sheeney, Wyoming." That's how
Okay, listen to this one carefully. Tell us about a time or event when you got in trouble with your parents or others while you were dating. And you were late, you made curfew, did something you shouldn't do, and somebody caught you. Go ahead. Right here at the end. Everybody
We have a
forget.
story.
We got calls a few times in my house and her grandmother's house. Kids are in here, but we'd have adults walk in on us. But one of the funniest times, there was a drive-in movie right outside of Winston called Flamingo Drive-In. And we go there, and that's back when they had car hops that would bring food to your car and set a tray on your window. You roll your window down. all the adults, Kay's mother was up here, and her sister Louise and Charles Edwards, they were all in there playing cards. And I brought her back, right up there at the museum, and we started to get out of the car, and Kay said, "I'm missing a shoe." And she said, "I can't go in there. I can't go in there."
And it was time, it was my curfew time. Right.
And I said, "Hey, no, I'm not gonna take you in there barefoot." So, the only thing we could do, I said, when I threw the hot dog wrappers, and that's what you did back then, you threw them out the window, hit the drive-in, and sent the boy down to pick it all up. I threw her shoes out. So, I said, the only thing to do was we went back over there, and I don't think I had any money left, and I drove up to the window. I didn't pay. I said, "Listen, I paid to get in here, but I threw her shoes out." And the guy said, "You know where you parked?" I said, "Yeah, I'll never forget it." And he said, "Just go around to the space and see if you can find it." He let us in. I went right back to the space where we were, and her shoes were playing. And I took her back, and nobody ever knew. I think we got back quite a bit, but she was fully dressed when I brought her.
All right, we're good, Charlene.
Try to top that one.
He's got something on this one. Yeah.
Our family went to Myrtle Beach with her family. We had some other friends down there. And we went off that night down to where the small rocks were. So we stayed there too long, and our friend brought us back. She was supposed to be back around 10 o'clock, that night. So that had been
Yeah. And my mama, you did not want to be late. My mama gave it to you.
How'd that work for Dana?
You know, honestly, we just told her to give us a
She
call.
kept in touch. She would come back at 11 o'clock at night and say, "There's something going on down there. We'd like to go over there some market." So we go back down there and see what's going on. Okay, but we bought her a bag, so she could keep in touch.
Oh, yes.
So as long as she kept in touch, we were okay.
Yeah, I didn't want her to think that minute made a difference, because in that situation, we didn't have a choice. We were with another couple, and they kept riding the swamp fox. And I'm going, "Mama, we'll kill them." My daddy was just an easy soul. And he would say, "Now, dog, don't you?" You know, he always, that my mama, baby. Trouble with her.
All right.
We're so boring.
Yeah, I don't know, my in-laws and my children are here, I'm not sure that I'm. I don't recall.
We stayed out late.
I don't recall. There's a legal
That's
term.
about it.
We may have stayed out later than we were supposed to. It depends on, this is a lawyer answer, it depends on your definition of having her home. Because if you count in my car in the driveway, I would have her home one time, but she didn't always make it in the house.
Unfortunately, there are no windows in the kitchen out on the
You couldn't see anything.
There's no windows on that whole side of the house. It's a real shame.
You didn't notice that at all.
Not at all.
All right, our last question. What is the best Valentine's Day gift you received from your spouse? Best Valentine's gift you have received from your spouse?
You know, we have always exchanged gifts.
We do it all year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just more romantic, give it that.
Okay, Danny?
He just looked at me and said, I gotta tell people.
Go ahead, Danny. You've been pretty quiet this whole afternoon.
Give me a box of candy out there for that.
But no, what he just looked at me, he said, oh, I guess I'll say 50 roses with one white one in the center. I said, dang, that was for my last anniversary. That was my anniversary. We really just give cards. We usually have a serious and a little funny one, and candy, or he sends me flowers sometimes, but we've never made that a big issue. We usually go out to eat too. This year, we will not be doing anything.
What's a good one?
Why?
He's prepping for a colonoscopy.
All right.
The same way, I mean, we just do cards and stuff. Although I'm going to steal Jack Pierce's reuse the card.
When we were in high school, there was, I don't remember a lot of the details about it. There was a little scavenger hunt he set up, and I had a stuffed animal in my locker at the end of it. And there were roses involved. It was very cute.
Very romantic. Well, I appreciate all three of you couples doing this. I think it's been fun and educational. And it was even PG rated, so the kids could be it.
Except for Kay losing her shoes.
Yep. Kay losing her shoes. We'll ask about that project later. But thank you so much, and Kernersville Museum for doing this. I think a lot of people, if they knew what this really was going to be, you'd have had this place so packed. There wouldn't be enough room to seat everybody, because people like hearing these stories about community, which you live. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Pete, thank you so much.
you.
We appreciate it.
So go put on social media what a good time. Now put my board member hat on. Go put on social media what a good time you had at this.
I think you could do this with other couples.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be like Kernersville Center, but just to be,
Some of the couples that didn't live here.
yeah, and your opinion, you know, why are you here and what happened to you? Yeah, it'd be a good idea.
Absolutely. Well, we are so glad you guys all came. You got to look at our beautiful depot and hang out, and there's still snacks over here. You guys are welcome to. Thank you guys so much. It's been a Saturday afternoon.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, baby.
Young lady, that was great, wasn't it? It really was. Hey, I've heard many. Maybe